후 엘사의 본사나 지부는 꽤 빈번한 야근이 자행되었다 들었소만 우리 엔케팔린 부서는 무조건적인 정시 퇴근을 지향하고 있어. 아, 나를 포함한 저 연구원들이 남아있는 건 단순히 실험에 대한 흥분이 가시질 않아 일을 그만두질 못하고 있는 것뿐이요.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. I'm Ekamac. This is LCB Regular Checkup. One thing that I want to have a look at it. Oh, I could also have a look at Dante's notes. We encountered a Pecatula which can mimic not only the sinner's appearances but also their identities and ego. I asked Forst how the Pecatula, which are things that just failed to distort, were able to use ego, but Forst shut down the entire discussion by saying it's classified information. How do they even mimic sinners from mirror worlds if they don't have the identity cards pulled through mirror tech? Okay, it's not the stuff that I wanted to look at anyway. I want the identity archives. Hang on. Oh dear. So what I was thinking was that it used to be that they would also group them together by the world that they were extracted from. It looks like they removed that. I wanted to know whether they fell under the LCB or if they had their own department, but nope, neither. Well, anyway, let me just have a look. This counts as an LCE and Olympus Company identity. Okay. The price of curiosity. Defeat within 10 turns. Level 50, 1 enemy. And we don't have enough Anchorfelon, of course. Wait, we're not allowed to use Don Quixote? Huh.
소재가 준비됐어?
고래를
소재가
준비는 완료했습니다. 출발하죠.
주인놈 뜻에 따라 준비 완료.
지위를 받는 건 오랜만인데
이 소리는 폭풍인가?
Who would I want to replace Heathcliff, actually? Gloom, Envy, Pride.
부선장이 필요한가?
일인가요?
부선장이 필요.
화점에 두지.
출발인가?
이거 참 설레.
Wait, don't tell me they're going to have us fight Don Quixote again. The foundation that led to this disaster was laid none other than Yi Sang, whose only sin was making an innocent, tragically casual comment. Sometime after we ran our final tests. Please vacate the room, people. Clean up coming through. Apologies. Miss Don Quixote has aught to... Prithee, avail me but a moment. The shoelaces upon Rocinante have come undone. What? How? I remember tying like 7 different knots on your shoes. 'Twere quite the hideous access. Sorry to be forced upon Rocinante. I have tied one of them once again in the shape of a ribbon. Yeah, the knots didn't look that great. Ribbons are cute. Oh boy. Yet one must begin to wonder about the consequences of Miss Don Quixote freeing her feet from Rocinante at her present state. Whatever art thou suggesting? Rocinante is none other than my eternal steed, bound to me by fate itself. None shall ever dare to sever the bond betwixt us. It was a query posed toward Miss Forst, yet I appreciate your answer all the same. And Forst's reply was what set fire upon that rather combustible foundation. I cannot know. Huh? An obvious outcome, given that no relevant data has ever been collected. Well, then, no time like the present to get collecting, huh? Good thing we're in a lab, too. Where else are we going to get another chance to do that? This course of action is highly inadvisable. Yeah, sounds like a bad time to me. I heard all kinds of horrible stuff happened on that train the moment her shoes came off. Sure did. But 'twas but an independent decision called by Rocinante itself due to certain extreme circumstances that had naught to do with mine will. Well, you know, potato. I was already quite aware that the core of that individual may as well lie in her pair of running shoes. Fie on thee! Thou shan't treat a person like such as I like some useless shell! What if we slipped our shoes off and on again really quickly? The standards here at LCB department demand precise measurements. In other words, these tests would be meaningless if all we are measuring is a hollow shell. Hollow shell? We have indulged your predictable provocations enough, Hohenheim. It seems necessary to remind you that you have not yet received the full report of what transpired during that incident. In other words, you are risking the occurrence of an unexpected event. You concern yourself unnecessarily. The construction of my laboratory could boast a rather solid build. Not even abnormalities on the more powerful side of things can puncture holes in its walls. Oh, very well, I will not force your hand. However, due to your unwillingness, I am behoved to record as such in my research journal. Due to the concern Cinna's utterly terrified reaction at the prospect of having to remove her shoes, I must unfortunately leave only a half-complete test result here. Utterly terrified? Terrified? And for your information, these research reports are stored for at least a decade. Yes, we will have possession of a full record of your plain cowardice for at least 10 years. Outcome NA. Reason subject was too scared to participate. After much contemplation, I have come to conclude that dearest Rocinante deserve a moment of respite as well. And I, Don Quixote, shall demonstrate before thee that Don Quixote is still Don Quixote in her course still without Rocinante's assistance. Are you sure this is a good idea, Forst? Hohenheim, if your employment at Limbus Company ever comes to a unilateral termination, I suppose the cause will be rather apparent. Your highly irresponsible level of curiosity. Not a good idea, got it. That would be my greatest honor as a researcher. Hey, if anything ever goes wrong, he's saying he'll be on the ready to slip those shoes right back onto your feet at a moment's notice, Kay? I shall be on the ready. Behold me not with such excessive anticipation all. There shan't be any new revelations here. Don Quixote begins to untie her shoes, seething. This 7-layer knot poseth quite the difficulty. Young Ishmael, wherefore hast thou tied these cords with such unwavering tightness? 1, because she wants to... Hang on, did I... No, they just don't have any music playing here because of no, it's such a bad idea. 1, she's a sailor. They're good at tying knots. A badly tied knot kills people. 2, she doesn't want to see Sancho escape without proper purpose, I guess. I was hoping they'd be the last knot those shoelaces would ever tie. Of course. There we go. Rest thee well, Rocinante. For I... The sinners and I were all quite nervous, but none of us stepped forward to stop this experiment. Why didn't we stop this? Was it because we thought we knew removing Rocinante doesn't necessarily mean she'll be losing control? Because we saw its effects on the warp train and La Mancha land? Or was it because we assumed that Rocinante was now just a disguise, and now that Don Quixote has accepted her past as Sancho, removing it wouldn't affect her psyche at all? Whichever was the case, it was a mistake to ignore that nagging feeling. These researchers don't know what facing Don Quixote, Sancho, the second kindred, is like. We do. Mother? Oh, Mother? Our existence is a death in perpetuity. Complete us. Fill our hunger. We pray unto you, fill us with the blood of humans. With the blood of humans. The teeming, shouting voices suddenly begin to echo in my head. Is she? Oh dear, I think the rest of La Mancha land is channeling itself into her. There are the voices of all the children he had embraced. Yup. Or perhaps this was the blood fiend's instinct given voice, imprinted upon them at the moment of their birth. Proliferate this disease. Embrace this unending hunger for blood. Propagate the family. So many voices, so much yearning, so much desire. Every single kindred that has ever existed in the past. I wish I hadn't used... I probably needed it, but I'm beginning to regret using my use of the Bow of Light buff on stopping on that one fight, because now I have to use it here. Kneels before Don Quixote. Hang on. Every single kindred that has existed in the past kneels before Don Quixote. Oh, dearest mother, as your children, when shall we be permitted to quench this thirst for blood? I must drink blood. I have to drink all the blood. All the blood that the family deserve to drink. I must. Dante, wake up! Ain't this a lot like the last time at that building when the fire on their head suddenly exploded? I gotta get a hold of myself. Thirst. My body can't even feel thirsty. This doesn't make any sense. Gah, I'm okay now. What did you see, Dante? If we want to bring Don Quixote back, we're going to need to quench her thirst somehow. We need something to sate the combined thirst. The desire of every single kindred. That's not good. Do you keep any blood in here? Let's try at least to quench what's... yeah, we have some blood samples if you need them. Damn it, have you been listening to what the executive manager's been saying? It's the combined thirst of every single kindred. A few blood samples aren't going to do anything. So, you're going to sit here and do nothing? Ain't this just a matter of getting her shoes back on? Alright, he's saying. Shoes! Get those shoes back on her feet! I cannot! The bizarre wall of pressure surrounds her. This is one luxury cig. Good flavour. I brought those luxury cigarettes with our last bonus pay. These readings are incredible! So much power, even in a state that is, for all intents and purposes, complete emaciation. What? You egged her on knowing this would happen. I had many outcomes in mind. Some were quite similar to this, but this is beyond even the most extreme of my predictions. How the fuck are you so calm about this? We gotta do something. You haven't seen how hard the harass hits. What would be the use of panicking now? If the outcome does not align with the predictions, the first course of action would be to analyze the given data. However, it doesn't seem like our containment measures will be the answer here. Thus, the task of stopping her falls straight to all of you. Time for us to pay the price of curiosity. Combat start, gain yearning for blood. Thank goodness, she's gone down 35 levels, she's just level 50. While this unit is on the field or one of the units that appear, Increase Blood Feast value by the amount of bleed damage collectively received. I should have brought some healing. For every 3% missing HP, gain offense level up on self, maximum of 5. My siblings call to me. Gain max and min speed for every 300 Blood Feast. This unit's HP cannot be reduced below 60%. Okay, so we're not expected to kill her, just to knock her around a bit. Gain hard blood at combat start. Convert her hard blood appropriately. Oh boy, those offense and defense levels are problematic. Turn in. If panic, recover from panic. Consume Blood Feast to gain attack power up. If this unit failed to consume Blood Feast, gain 30 bleed and attack power up and damage up. Low morale. Something Joy of Carnage. Gain offense level and SP heal efficiency. Gain defense level and offense level. Increase sanity after winning a clash. Decrease after losing. La Aventura ha terminado. Combat start. Consume Blood Feast and heal up to 45 SP. Gross. Gain shield HP to remain equal to remaining Blood Feast. On clash win, inflict bleed. It's an unbreakable coin. I hate it. And it's unbreakable, so it's going to hurt no matter what we do. At best, we can at least prevent her from getting a clash. Request melee support on use.
점 찍었네.
Where did it? Oh, she's got max sanity already.
지켜라. 내게 관심이 쏠렸으니 너희가 공격할 기회는 더욱 많아진다.
At least she's PS weak, but
간다.
여긴 맡겨주세요.
frigga frack. I didn't realize that she was going to cap on her bleed every turn. Or rather, she'd cap her sanity on the first turn. Losing Ishmael here is going to hurt.
점 찍었네.
Damn it, she's got her shield back again.
합격점.
We're just going to be juggling around our staggers, aren't we? No unbreakable coins. I think this is going to be a stagger, unfortunately, because Ryoshu will knock her HP down enough from her own attacks from the clashing due to the bleed.
점 찍었네.
한 점만 노린다. 좋아, 심탄하구만.
Okay, that works.
그 삶에 마침 그래. 사선이 비었어요.
시야 확보. 쏜다.
We need more gloom if we want to use a fluid sac, but oh dear, that's gonna kill her, no matter what I do, darn it. Okay. We'll just have to accept the death. It was really unfortunate for the... Does the game actually warn you that she's going to gain max SP on the first turn? $45 minus current SP and heal up to 45 SP. Oh, she's going to heal 45 SP on the first turn no matter what you do. That's so frustrating. I should have paid closer attention. I really should have.
사격 개시.
이 작살엔 필살의 집. 나는 이스마엘이다.
Really?
나는 여기서.
I must. I have to be the mother to all of them. The family's thirst. It's... No, my lady. You needn't be the mother of anyone here. Here. You are a sinner. Nothing more. I will not place the blame of this incident on anyone, Dante. I understand that no one could have expected this outcome. Given the dearth of intelligence regarding the binding tool the first kindred had gifted to the third sinner. Well then, I hadn't had that much first-hand experience with watching Virgilius fight, but this was certainly the most exhausted I've seen him after a fight. I decided to say nothing and turned the clock. After some time passed, Don Quixote, what happened? Did you lose consciousness, or did something affect your memory? Manager Esquire, my memories were fine. But they were... I heard something as soon as I removed my shoes. Voices, right? Once again, you have witnessed me. Yes, the voices. So many voices. Voices? The voices of my family. But the blood fiends of La Mancha Land are all... Sinclair trailed off. Every single blood fiend left inside La Mancha Land was killed when the amusement park collapsed. In other words, most of Don Quixote's lower kindreds were dead. That is correct. But I cannot well explain how. The only way I might explain this is that it was as though my very blood remembered them still. I recognized some of them, and some were voices that I once deeply cared for. It seems that I was, against my own desire, made to ascend to my father's seat. Perhaps I always was, ever since then. That would explain her manager of La Mancha Land identity, because it does actually take... In terms of Blood Fiend hierarchy, it does actually count as above the second kindred that was Dulcinea. And I was struck not only by my own thirst, but the combined thirst of every single one of the children. Thirst. Indeed, I am also bound by that thirst. It is only natural, because I am a blood fiend. Thus the pressure of it all broke my hold of sanity, and I hurt you all. As Don Quixote the blood fiend, a higher kindred, not as Don Quixote a sinner and your friend. Don Quixote, this isn't your fault, it's... No, such words now are meaningless. She looked down at her pair of shoes, their strings again neatly tied. The High Office will now be regularly supplying you with artificial blood backs. Hohenheim approached us, after spending a while vigorously scribbling something in his notes. The blood substitutes will be very similar to real blood in terms of composition, and we won't have any issue with supply. I don't suppose you actually believe that mere willpower would be enough to withstand this urge. I have done quite well suppressing it thus far. Indeed. And that was precisely the wick attached to the ticking time bomb within LCB. Must I remind you that soundness of this limiter of yours is quite tenuous, as today's evidence have demonstrated? Is your implication that the purpose of conducting this reckless experiment was to determine the full extent of the latent danger? I don't know. Seems like it was in it only to sate its curiosity. Call it merely the auspice of opportune inconvenience. This risk factor had to be measured sooner or later. Had I known the full extent of the danger she posed, I would have immediately requested a forceful summoning of your department. Of course, as large as this void of unknowns was, we were able to fill it with much new information. Actually, I think that actually would have been a good time to use LCE Yi Sang, because whatever skill he uses first is probably going to, if he uses his skill 1 or his skill 2, and it's impossible for him to not have either of them, he can use that to intercept her ultimate attack, but then he uses unbreakable coins to remove it. I think. I forget whether it had bleed count on it or not. Certain analyses can be drawn by comparing the reports regarding blood fiends in this very experiment. Let us discuss the thirst you were experimenting first. For example, the combined desire of every lower kindred. Indeed, it's true. The Manchegan kindreds have been completely eradicated due to the events at La Mancha Land. But you still heard the voices of your children, yes? What are you trying to say? I aim to discuss the powerful binding force contained within blood. LCD's cooperative report explains that blood is not merely a carrier of nutrients, but something more, that it contains certain abstract values as well. We sent in a complaint that the report was far too vague in its wording. We received a reply that their on-site investigation reasoning team leader spat out, the contents of which were equally fascinating. This desire of their kind, this thirst, is something that may well be imbued and imprinted on familial bloodline. Normally the weight of that thirst is far too heavy for any individual to bear, which is why they propagate, to bear the unbearable burden together. But considering all of that desire is now focused in onto an individual, on account of extinction of her entire family line, it's easy to see why her hold to sanity was so easily broken, no matter the strength of her will. She alone was made to bear the responsibility, the pressure, the duty of having to raise the family once again. And because none of those needs are currently met, there comes the endless exasperating thirst, and more thirst. It is quite fascinating to see how your kind preserves these very abstract values in the physical form of blood. The mere words thirst does quite the insufficient job of describing the intensity with which you have lost control. This was my oversight, I must admit. I do respect your efforts to be liberated from your nature. I truly do. But I also maintain that it's highly advisable for you to regularly consume the provided blood packs. Understood. But one day, I wish to dismount from Rocinante and walk bare feet, feel the earth under my own skin. I was able to establish one positive fact from this exercise, however. What might that be? That there are those who would, quite literally, throw their lives on the line to stop you, even if you were to take off your shoes. In other words, I don't believe it to be necessary for other departments to exercise any separate control over you. Well, now that I've had a first-hand account of your conditions, I'll write the following in the report. Still quite unstable, yet, with the effort from the subject of herself, and efforts from various other environmental factors, this subject has been deemed sufficiently controllable. Once again, I do respect your efforts. Or any other kind of effort, really. Because I've never had much use for it myself. Don Quixote took a deep breath, then turned to face the sinners. By then, her eyes had regained their usual softer look. But sorrow was seeping through the tone of her voice. Despite her theatrical manner of speech returning, her tone reminded me of our time at La Mancha Land. My deepest apologies, dearest friends. Forsooth, I shall ever persevere to see that Rocinante, my shoes, are never to be removed again. Lass, you're looking at it all wrong. You're going to remove those shoes one day, yeah? That's what you're going to persevere towards. Verily. I think she let out a brief, quiet laughter. Manager Esquire, perchance is there aught that thou concealest from my knowledge? What do you mean? I don't think so. It's no coincidence that at this very moment I notice Force looking in my direction. I don't know if I made the right choice here, but Force nodded lightly, as though to say I did. I stopped hesitating and the tick-tocking noise came to a stop. Very well then. However, I cannot help but admit I felt some degree of anxiety as I watched Don Quixote walk away, as though nothing had happened.
그 정도 화력으로 우리 사무소를 막을 수 있을 줄 알았냐? 저놈들 무기까지 주어서 철수하자고.
Oh boy, we're still not quite done, are we? But for me, I think it's time to wrap up my recordings for the night. I do have other things to do. Until next time, guys, take care. I'll see you all around.